Welcome to Auto Foresight. For years, Mercedes built electric cars that looked like electric cars. Different proportions, a cab-forward stance, an interior that felt like a tablet stand with seats. Buyers noticed, and quietly, so did Mercedes. The 2027 C-Class Electric is the answer to that feedback. And the interesting part is not just what changed. It is what Mercedes decided to build it on, a platform that no previous C-Class has ever used. That architecture decision explains nearly everything else about this car, and it is worth understanding before the spec numbers. The W520 C-Class, the current generation, uses a platform originally designed around combustion engines. Mercedes adapted it for hybrid and mild hybrid variants, which worked reasonably well. But when the brand tried to push a full electric version further, the limits of that architecture began to show. The transmission tunnel could not fully disappear. Battery integration was a compromise. Interior packaging suffered as a result. The 2027 model, development code W520, removes that compromise entirely. It is built on the MB.EA platform, Mercedes-Benz electric architecture, a dedicated mid-size electric architecture designed from the ground up for battery electric vehicles. This is not an adaptation. It is a clean break. The platform explains a lot about what follows. In the mid-size premium sedan segment, the W520 steps into a competitive space that includes the Tesla Model 3 Juniper, the BMW i4, and the Audi A4 e-tron. Each of those models has been on the market long enough that buyers have formed clear opinions about what they like and what they would change. Mercedes is returning to the conversation with a car that, according to early first drive reports from mid-March 2026, deliberately moves away from the EQE light cab-forward look of its predecessors. The W520 returns to traditional sedan proportions, longer wheelbase, wider track, but with none of the interior space sacrificed to a floor that was designed around a gearbox. The transmission tunnel is gone. The floor is flat. And that is the single most important thing the MB.EA platform changes for the person sitting inside. The powertrain is where the W520 makes a technical statement that deserves a closer look. The electrical system runs on 800 volts. That is not a detail that shows up in marketing materials. It is an engineering decision that separates this car from the current generation of Mercedes electric vehicles, which use 400-volt architecture. The practical effect is that the W520 is capable of peak DC fast charging likely exceeding 250 kilowatts. Multiple reports suggest a charge from low to near full in under 18 minutes at a compatible ultra-fast charger. That is the kind of number that begins to change how drivers think about planning a long journey. Battery options are expected to span from 64 kilowatt-hours to 94 kilowatt-hours. The larger pack targets a WLTP range of over 435 miles, approximately 700 kilometers, while EPA estimated range for North American buyers sits around 380 miles. Both figures are based on early information confirmed in first drive coverage. Official final figures have not been released. Power is delivered through a new family of Mercedes-developed permanent magnet synchronous motors, available in rear-wheel drive and 4MATIC all-wheel drive configurations. One detail worth pausing on is the drag coefficient. Early reports indicate 0.22 CD, a class-leading figure for a standard sedan. For context, that is not achieved through extreme styling compromise. It is the result of the MB.EA platform allowing a lower, wider stance. Why? It is the result of the MB.EA platform allowing a lower, wider stance without the floor height penalty of a platform-adapted battery. That drag number has a direct impact on highway range, which is where the WLTP and EPA figures diverge the most for premium sedans. For anyone who has been watching whether the 800-volt standard would make it into mainstream luxury sedans, this is the confirmation they were waiting for. The interior signals a deliberate course correction. Early EQ models, the EQS and EQE, arrived with interiors that reviewers and owners described as feeling overscreened and, in some cases, overly plastic despite their price points. Mercedes acknowledged that feedback. The W520 responds with what early reports describe as a return to premium material emphasis and physical-like haptic controls alongside the brand's MBUX Superscreen. The flat floor that the MB.EA platform enables changes the cabin geometry significantly. Without the transmission tunnel, the center console becomes a design choice rather than a structural necessity. That shift creates more flexibility in rear passenger space. And given that the W520 rides on a longer wheelbase and wider track than the current W206, rear room is expected to be a meaningful step forward for the segment. An optional rear-wheel steering system is available, reportedly offering up to 4.5 degrees of countersteer at low speeds. The practical benefit is a tighter turning circle, which matters in the narrow street layouts of European and UK city centers where the C-Class is one of the most popular premium sedans on the market. The car retains a traditional trunk. It also adds a front storage compartment, a frunk primarily designed for cable and charging accessory storage. Small, but the kind of detail that owners of previous EVs who forgot where to put the cable will notice immediately. Over-the-air software updates for powertrain management are confirmed as standard. The tech picture inside the W520 is shaped heavily by what Mercedes heard from early EQ buyers. The MBUX Superscreen arrives as the central interface, but the approach has been tempered. Physical-like haptic feedback controls are part of the design, a recognition that completely removing tactile input for driving functions created friction, not elegance. For a brand that built its interior reputation on material quality and sensory coherence, the early EQ interiors were a notable departure. The W520 is, by the information available so far, a course correction toward what made Mercedes interiors feel like Mercedes interiors in the first place. Driver assistance and safety system details have not been fully confirmed at this stage. Mercedes has indicated the platform is capable of supporting advanced driver assistance, but specific tier information for the W520 is yet to be announced. On timing, the production picture is fairly clear. Manufacturing is expected to begin at the Kecskemét facility in Hungary during the second quarter of 2026. North American deliveries are targeted for early 2027. First drive reports from March 2026 confirm the car is at a late enough stage of development that pricing and trim details are close to finalization. Official pricing has not yet been confirmed for any market. Based on segment positioning, competing directly with the Tesla Model 3 Juniper, the BMW i4, and Audi A4 e-tron, the W520 will enter the mid to upper range of the premium mid-size sedan price band in both Europe and North America. Specific figures are still to be announced. Markets confirmed for launch include Western Europe and North America. Additional markets have not been officially named at this stage. What is worth noting about the W520 is not simply that Mercedes has made an electric C-Class. The current generation already offered electrification options. What is different here is the commitment the MB.EA platform represents, a full architectural shift, not an adaptation. Mercedes is building this car the way dedicated EV manufacturers have been building theirs, on a skateboard architecture where the battery lives entirely within the floor structure. The open question is whether that commitment lands at the right moment. Premium sedan buyers have been slower to move to full electric than SUV buyers. The segment the W520 enters is crowded, and several of its rivals have already had time in the market to build ownership networks and real-world range data. Whether the 800-volt architecture and the return to proper sedan proportions is enough to shift that conversation is genuinely one of the more interesting things to watch as 2027 approaches. What is your read on it? Does the platform change matter to premium sedan buyers? Or has that window already moved toward SUVs? Drop it in the comments. If you follow upcoming models like this, Foresight covers them regularly.